Fiorina joins us live from Manchester, New Hampshire right now. Good morning, Ms. Fiorina. Thank you for joining us. I want to start right there with the Iran nuclear talks. You just heard Senator Menendez, the Iranian side as well. You said that you would have walked away from the talks a long time ago. So if you were president today, what exactly would you be doing with Iran?
Well, I would have walked away, because if you can't walk away from the negotiating table, the other side just keeps negotiating. And that's precisely what's happened. We have caved on every major goal that President Obama set, as Senator Menendez pointed out. And so I would walk away, and I would tell the Iranians that until and unless they are prepared to open every nuclear facility, every uranium enrichment facility to full and unfettered inspections, that we will make it as difficult as possible for them to move money around the global financial system. We can do that. We don't need anyone's permission or collaboration to do that. And beyond that, of course, we should have recognized from the outset that China and Russia have not been negotiating on our side of the table. It is in those two countries' interests that Iran's economy is open. And so in many ways, they have been negotiating on Iran's side of the table.
Let's talk about the economy right now. Jeb Bush, one of your opponents in this primary race, has set out a goal of 4% economic growth, and he caused quite a stir this week with this statement.
Workforce participation has to rise from its all-time modern lows. Means that people need to work longer hours and through their productivity gain more income for their families.
That phrase, need to work longer hours, drew a lot of criticism from many fronts, including from the campaign of Ted Cruz, who said it would seem to me that Governor Bush would want to avoid the kind of comments that led voters to believe that Governor Romney was out of touch with the economic struggles many Americans are facing. What did you think of that comment from Governor Bush, and do you agree with his goal of 4% growth?
Well, I think 4% growth is a good goal. And I think the fact that we have become used to an economy that sort of putt-putts along at between 1% and 2% is sort of tragic. I think we need to understand what the true engine of economic growth and job creation is in this country. It has always been small businesses, new businesses, family-owned businesses, community-based businesses that create 2/3 of the jobs and employ half the people. And we are now crushing those businesses. In fact, we are destroying more businesses in the United States now than are being created for the first time in our history. Meanwhile, crony capitalism is alive and well. The big are getting bigger, the wealthy are getting wealthier. A very large, powerful, complicated government, which is what we have and which Democrats want more of. Only the big, the powerful, the wealthy, and the well-connected can survive. Americans who have jobs are working longer and longer hours. Those who are working part-time want to work full-time. We're tangling people's lives up in webs of dependence who would like to move forward in their lives, only our programs incent them to fall back into those webs. So yes, we need to grow this economy, but that begins by understanding where growth and job creation come from, and that's the small, the new, the family-owned businesses, the community-based businesses. Those are being crushed by the weight and the power of this federal government.
Big economic speech coming tomorrow from Hillary Clinton. She's going to address what she calls the defining challenge of our time, the wage gap, the fact that Americans are working harder than ever before, but their wages are not going up. Do you agree with the way that she's defined the problem? And if her ideas aren't the best way to address it, which ones are?
Well, I think income inequality is a huge problem. And let's look to the state of California, where I lived for 12 years. Liberal policies have been in place for decades, and yet 111 billionaires, good for them, the highest poverty rates in the nation, the exodus of the middle class, the destruction of industry after industry. Now they're destroying agriculture in California. The truth is Hillary Clinton's ideas create more income inequality. Why? Because bigger government creates crony capitalism. When you have a 70,000-page tax code, you got to be very wealthy, very powerful, very well connected to dig your way through that tax code. So she may decry income inequality. What I will continue to point out is the fact that every policy she is pursuing will make income inequality worse, not better, crony capitalism even worse, not better. And meanwhile, we will continue to crush the businesses that create jobs and middle-class families.
Donald Trump drawing a huge crowd in Phoenix, Arizona last night. You've already critiqued his campaign so far, saying he's trying to get a whole bunch of attention. But is the Republican Party now at the risk of the sideshow becoming the main event? And how will you support Donald Trump if indeed, in the long shot comes through, he's the nominee?
Well, you know, it's interesting. I have been in New Hampshire now for 6 days, and I have not been asked a single question about Donald Trump. On the other hand, I think Donald Trump taps into an anger that I hear every day. People are angry that a common sense thing like securing the border or ending sanctuary cities is somehow considered extreme. It's not extreme, it's common sense. We need to secure the border. People are also angry at a professional political class of both parties that talks a good game, gives good speeches, but somehow nothing ever really changes. And people are angry as well at a double standard in the media.
Carly Fiorina, thanks very much for joining us.